Hello, New York Yankees fans. We have brand new exclusive videos and the latest news for you. Before we get started, we'd like to invite you to join our channel and give this video a like. It's crucial to get exclusive access to the latest updates. Paul Goldschmidt's decision to step away from baseball has sparked one of the most unexpected conversations of the season. And even though the Yankees tried to keep things quiet until an official statement was crafted, the rumors spilled faster than anyone could contain. Fans who filled Yankee Stadium in recent weeks noticed subtle changes in his demeanor, a different body language at first base, and the way he would linger a little longer than usual in the dugout, as if taking mental snapshots of the game he has dedicated his life to. Sources close to the clubhouse whispered that he had been discussing life after baseball for months, weighing the grind of travel, the toll on his body, and the desire to finally spend time with family. Teammates admitted privately that there was a certain finality in his handshakes and the way he addressed younger players, passing on wisdom with an urgency that suggested a closing chapter. The Yankees organization, known for its careful control of narratives, had no choice but to confirm it. Paul Goldschmidt, the former MVP and cornerstone slugger, has decided to retire, leaving fans stunned and nostalgic all at once. The magnitude of Goldschmidt's career cannot be understated, because his arrival in New York carried with it the aura of a proven veteran who had conquered both the National and American leagues with quiet dominance. From his early days with Arizona, where he built a reputation as one of the most disciplined and powerful hitters in the game, to his renaissance in St. Louis, he embodied consistency, professionalism, and that rare ability to make hitting look effortless. By the time he slipped on the pinstripes, he was already a living legend, but what impressed Yankee fans was not just his bat, but his humility and leadership. He never demanded the spotlight. Instead, he let his performance do the talking, anchoring the lineup and offering a calm presence in a sport where egos often overshadow results. His retirement, therefore, feels like more than the end of a player's career. It feels like the closing of a certain era of first baseman defined by reliability, discipline, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. Fans are grappling with the reality that someone who seemed eternal on the field is suddenly choosing to leave the game entirely. Speculation about why now lingers heavily, because Goldschmidt has not been a player showing obvious decline. His numbers remain competitive, his bat still dangerous in critical moments, and his glove still reliable at first base. That is why the announcement reverberates with such shock. It does not appear to be a forced retirement, but rather a deeply personal decision. Those close to him suggest that the strain of balancing the relentless schedule with personal life finally tipped the scales. Goldschmidt has always carried himself as a family-first figure, often speaking about the sacrifices that come with professional baseball and perhaps the realization that he has achieved nearly everything possible. MVP, All-Star selections, Gold Gloves, Silver Sluggers made the decision easier to embrace. For Yankees fans who had hoped for at least a few more seasons of his stability, the news is bittersweet. On one hand, they respect the man for leaving on his own terms. On the other, they can't help but mourn the lost possibility of seeing him deliver in October again, when legends are truly cemented in pinstriped lore. The Yankees clubhouse reaction reportedly ranged from quiet disbelief to heartfelt admiration. Young players spoke about how Goldschmidt made them feel valued, never brushing aside their questions, always willing to share small tips about approach or preparation. Veterans described him as the ultimate teammate, the type who celebrated others' achievements even more than his own. The coaching staff emphasized that his professionalism raised the standard daily, setting an example of how a superstar could behave without arrogance. And in a city like New York, where media scrutiny can overwhelm even the most talented players, Goldschmidt stood out as someone who never created drama, never chased headlines, but still commanded respect across the league. His departure now leaves a leadership vacuum that cannot be easily replaced. The Yankees, built around a mixture of young rising talent and proven veterans, must suddenly face the reality of continuing their pursuit of a championship without one of their steadiest anchors. That transition is no small task, because players like Goldschmidt are not simply acquired. They are cultivated through years of excellence, and once gone, the void echoes loudly. Fans across social media platforms have erupted into waves of nostalgia, posting highlight reels, memorable at-bats, and stories of interactions where Goldschmidt's humility shined through. Clips of towering home runs in crucial games resurfaced, reminding everyone of just how many moments he defined with his bat. But equally shared are stories of his off-field contributions, from quiet charity work to mentoring young prospects far from the spotlight. In a sport where numbers often dominate the conversation, Goldschmidt's legacy seems to extend beyond statistics into something more intangible but equally powerful: respect. It's rare for a player to unite opposing fan bases in admiration, yet Goldschmidt managed it through sheer authenticity. Even rival teams have taken to issuing statements of gratitude, acknowledging what he brought to the game. For the Yankees faithful, who have seen legends come and go, there's a unique sadness in this farewell, because Goldschmidt's time in New York felt unfinished, like a story cut short before its ultimate chapter. That lingering what-if will fuel conversations for years to come, as fans debate what might have been had he stayed just a little longer. And so the question becomes, what happens next, both for Goldschmidt and the Yankees organization? For the player, retirement does not mean fading away. There are whispers that he may transition into a coaching role, perhaps even within the Yankees system, where his wealth of knowledge could be poured into the next generation. Others speculate he might choose a quieter life, stepping fully into family time after decades of relentless schedules. As for the Yankees, the task of replacing him looms large, because you cannot simply fill the shoes of someone who defined professionalism with such elegance. They must look to both the free agent market and internal development to find a solution, but the reality is that Goldschmidt's impact was as much cultural as it was statistical. In the end, his retirement underscores the fleeting nature of greatness in sports. One day, a player seems eternal, and the next, they're stepping away, leaving fans to hold onto memories. Paul Goldschmidt has chosen to leave the game on his own terms, and while that decision may sting now, in time it will likely be celebrated as the ultimate mark of a career lived with integrity and grace. There's a persistent murmur around Yankee Stadium that Goldschmidt's retirement was not entirely spontaneous, that behind closed doors the organization may have quietly encouraged him to consider the timing. Some insiders speculate the front office saw an opportunity to transition toward younger players, especially with prospects pushing from the farm system and payroll considerations always looming. While the Yankees would never publicly admit to nudging a future Hall of Famer toward the exit, the business side of baseball is rarely sentimental. Goldschmidt, however, carries himself with such grace that if such conversations did occur, he would never expose them. Instead, he chose to frame the decision as his own, preserving the dignity of both himself and the club. Fans, though, are left wondering whether the retirement was purely personal or partially strategic, part of a larger plan the Yankees have been crafting behind the scenes. And if so, it raises the uncomfortable question of whether loyalty in baseball is ever as permanent as fans would like to believe. In the Bronx, where legends are revered and departures often debated for decades, the whispers will linger long after the official press conference fades from memory. In the weeks leading up to the announcement, some reporters began noticing subtle signals that now seem almost obvious in hindsight. Goldschmidt lingered longer during batting practice, chatting with teammates rather than rushing through his routine. He appeared more reflective during interviews, his answers often laced with nostalgia and references to the past. Even his walk-up music, usually a formality, was said to have been chosen more deliberately, as if marking a series of personal milestones rather than just energizing the crowd. Teammates mentioned that he organized quiet dinners on the road, something he rarely did in earlier years, as though he was intentionally soaking in final moments with his baseball family. At the time, most observers chalked it up to veteran wisdom, the natural perspective of a player entering the twilight of his career. Now, those same behaviors are being reinterpreted as part of a farewell tour that was never publicly announced. It feels almost poetic, as though Goldschmidt staged a private goodbye while the rest of us only caught glimpses of what was really happening, unaware that the countdown had already begun. The timing of the retirement has also fueled speculation about legacy, because walking away as a Yankee carries a unique weight in baseball history. Few players ever get the chance to wear the pinstripes, and even fewer leave with their reputation intact. For Goldschmidt, ending his career in New York secures him a place in a lineage of stars who combine personal excellence with the burden of playing under the sport's brightest spotlight. It's not just about numbers anymore. It's about symbolism. He didn't have to chase another contract or another season to prove his worth. By leaving now, he ensured that fans will remember him as the steady, reliable force he always was, not as someone who overstayed his prime. In a city where the media can turn brutal overnight, Goldschmidt's quiet exit might be one of the most masterful moves of his career. He leaves as respected as he arrived, untouched by scandal or decline. And that, perhaps, is why the announcement has struck such an emotional chord. It feels not like an ending, but like a perfectly chosen final act in a career defined by grace. But before we continue, please remember to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support allows us to keep bringing you the latest news about the New York Yankees. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments. But let's not ignore the elephant in the room. The Yankees, for all their resources, suddenly face a serious roster gap. Replacing a player like Goldschmidt is not just about statistics. It's about presence, confidence, and the ripple effect he had on everyone around him. Managers could pencil his name into the lineup and immediately feel a sense of stability. Pitchers knew they could count on solid defense at first base. Hitters benefited from the way he lengthened the lineup, drawing walks, working counts, and forcing opposing staffs to adjust. That kind of contribution doesn't show up neatly in spreadsheets, and it certainly can't be replicated overnight. Rumors suggest the front office is already exploring trade options, scanning the free agent market, and even considering accelerating the timeline of top prospects to fill the void. Yet none of those paths will truly recreate the balance Goldschmidt provided. And while Yankee fans are no strangers to transition, there's an undercurrent of anxiety this time, because Goldschmidt's departure was not anticipated, and the organization must scramble to recalibrate faster than expected. For Goldschmidt personally, the future seems wide open, and that uncertainty has become part of the conversation. Will he stay connected to baseball, perhaps as a coach, broadcaster, or front office advisor? Or will he vanish into the quieter life that so many veterans crave after years of relentless travel and competition? Friends describe him as someone deeply invested in family, faith, and community, suggesting that his post-playing career may lean more toward philanthropy or local involvement than media appearances. But there's also an undeniable hunger from the baseball world to keep him close, to tap into the wealth of experience and wisdom he carries. Already, whispers link him to potential coaching positions, not just with the Yankees, but also with organizations he once represented. Whether those rumors hold any weight remains to be seen, but the idea of Goldschmidt disappearing entirely feels almost unthinkable. For fans, the hope is that his calm, analytical perspective remains part of the game's fabric, shaping the next generation. After all, legends don't just retire. They evolve, and Goldschmidt's next chapter could prove as impactful as his playing days if he chooses to embrace it. And so, the story of Paul Goldschmidt's retirement is less about an ending and more about the reverberations it creates. Baseball thrives on myths, legends, and the narratives that stretch across decades, binding generations of fans. Goldschmidt now enters that realm, joining the conversation not just as a great hitter or a reliable first baseman, but as a symbol of professionalism in its purest form. The whispers will continue. Was it purely his decision? Did the Yankees quietly push? Could he have played another year? But beyond the rumors lies something undeniable. He walked away on top, respected by teammates, feared by opponents, and adored by fans. That is a rare trifecta in modern sports. The Yankees, meanwhile, will march on, as they always do, chasing championships and grooming new stars. Yet for those who watched Goldschmidt with admiration, his departure leaves an ache, a reminder that even the most steady presences eventually step aside. In time, this retirement will be remembered not with bitterness, but with gratitude for the privilege of watching a player who carried the game's values so completely. Paul Goldschmidt is gone from the field, but his story is far from over. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the New York Yankees, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.